Okay, so today we're going to be reacting to... Let me see my notifications. Yo! Wait, what the heck, man? We're going to be reacting to ZackDFilms.
If you melted down all the fat in your body and made it into a...
Reacting to ZackDFilms.
He mixed the chemicals together, hoping to create a clear plastic for gun sights. But it instantly stuck to everything it touched. It was too sticky to be useful, so it was abandoned. But years later, he realized it could be used as a powerful glue. Eventually, his employer decided to bottle it up and sell it. Once it hit stores, it made billions of dollars, and it now sells millions of tubes every year. If you melted down all the fat in your body and made it into a candle, it would burn for an impressive 4 months. And if you did the same thing with every human on Earth, you'd have over 200 billion pounds of human fat. With that, you could make one giant candle that would burn for an incredible 2.9 billion years. Or you can make enough smaller candles to light every home on Earth for 15 years. Only there wouldn't be any humans left to use them. If you melted down in this video, she jumped, but her main parachute didn't open. And when she pulled the emergency, it sent her spinning out of control. She hit the ground at 80 miles an hour, shattering her bones. And the force was so hard, the fillings flew out of her teeth. Now, she should have died, but she landed on a mound of fire ants, and they stung her over 200 times. The venom shocked her heart into beating and released a massive surge of adrenaline. And when paramedics finally found her, she was covered in ants, but alive. She jumped. Slide your finger under the gold bar, tilting one end upward. This gives you just enough space to grip it from the edge. Then move all your fingers to the underside, while keeping your thumb on the top. This makes it easier to balance the heavy bar and keep a firm hold. Slowly inch it upward, letting the edges slide against the hole's surface. As you lift, angle it slightly to clear the tight space without getting stuck. Pull your hand out and the gold bar will slide smoothly through the opening. The elephant charged and trampled her as she tried to run from the herd, and she soon died from the injuries. But as her family prepared for her funeral, the same elephants came back for more. Funeral goers scattered, leaving her body behind, and one elephant lifted her corpse, flinging it into the air. The herd then destroyed her home and 3 others nearby, leaving everyone wondering, what did she do to that elephant? When you take the nozzle out of your car, a few drops of gasoline spill to the ground. Now, it would only be about a few milliliters of gas, but around 37 million cars fill up every day, and most spill just a little as the nozzle comes out. If you collected every drop from every gas station in the US, you'd have around 37,000 gallons. That's enough to drive a car around the entire planet nearly 30 times. They strapped 70 rockets to 2 metal wheels and joined them with a pack of explosives. The wheel was supposed to roll down the beach and into German bunkers. Once it hit, the explosives would blow up, destroying the enemy. But when they tested it, the wheel slipped in the sand and rockets fell off. This caused it to spin out as it burst into flames, almost killing a nearby soldier. 4 small weights launched from the gun, each one attached to a corner of a folded nylon net. As the weights fly forward, they pull the net open behind them, stretching it out mid-air. The net hits the thief, and the weights keep going, wrapping it tightly around their body. The more they struggle, the more tangled they get, trapping their arms and legs inside. But it never caught on, since the gun had a very limited range, meaning you would have to be close to the dangerous criminal for it to even work. If all the rain from a storm combined together into a single drop, you would get a raindrop about the size of half a football field. As it fell from the clouds, it would speed up like a meteor, and when it finally hit the ground, its massive force would instantly vaporize your body, leaving nothing behind. Now, 50 of these drops would release the same energy as an atomic bomb, blasting a huge crater into the earth. He cut open her belly and pulled out the 6-month-old baby while it was still connected to the umbilical cord. He cut into the spine and removed a giant tumor that was blocking blood flow to its heart. As they worked, the heart almost stopped beating entirely, but eventually the tumor was removed and the fetus was stitched back inside the womb. 12 weeks later, the baby was born for the second time and went on to live a normal life. If someone shoves a pick into the bottom of a padlock, they might be able to lift the pins inside, opening the lock. But if no pick is available, cutting an M-shaped piece from the side of a soda can and folding the top works as a substitute. Then the legs are wrapped around a metal strip, leaving the middle part sticking out. That piece can be slid into the lock's gap, pushed down, and then the shackle open. They set a fire in their dorm building, hoping to set off the smoke alarm as a prank, but within minutes, the flames exploded. They burned through the couches and melted the carpet, causing thick smoke to walls. Students woke up confused and rushed to the stairs. Some even jumped out windows to escape, but 3 people were killed, while 58 others were injured. Police chased down the pranksters, and one of them even ran the police over to avoid arrest. But finally, they were captured and sent to prison for their crime. He climbed inside the wooden pod and sealed the hatch above him. Powering the propellers with cranks and pedals, it was aiming for a warship in the distance. His goal was to drill into the ship's hull and attach an explosive with a timed fuse. But when he reached the warship, the hull was tougher than he expected. It was too thick to pierce. He struggled in the dark, spinning the crank and drilling with no success. Low on air and nearly out of strength, he gave up and drifted back up to the surface. The boy suddenly fell into the gorilla pit, causing the crowd to panic. You see,
Guys, I green screened this video. By the way, YouTube, don't move my video again. The video called Yalla, don't do it again.
he had climbed over a barrier and dropped 15 feet into a pool of water. Zookeepers rushed to get the gorillas inside, but one ended up approaching the boy. For 10 minutes, he dragged the boy through the water and moved him to a dry area. But zookeepers felt the boy was still in danger, so they made the heartbreaking decision to shoot the gorilla, killing him instantly. The world mourned his death, with many creating tributes, ensuring his memory lived forever.
My name is Johnny.
They would carefully press a sharp stone drill into your aching tooth. Using a small bow to twist the stone, they would begin to slowly scrape away the cavity, creating a hole. And with no painkillers, you would feel every grind as the drill carved deeper into your tooth. Once the hole was big enough, they would carefully scoop out all the decayed tooth pulp, removing the cavity. His teeth sunk into a human fingertip while he was eating a frozen custard. Now, he thought it was a piece of candy, so he just spat the object into his hand. Shocked, he immediately called the store, and that's when they discovered a worker had sliced off part of their finger while operating a machine. But instead of throwing the batch away, someone scooped it and served it to customers. The gravedigger decided to open the casket, just to take a quick peek inside. He was almost done digging the grave, and sometimes liked to see the face of the person he was about to bury. But what he saw made him fall back in shock. It was his face, staring up from inside. Heart racing, he sprinted home to his wife, leaving the grave half dug. But when he got there, his wife looked at him with horror. She backed away, trembling, reaching for a knife behind her. He stepped forward and she screamed. He ran. He didn't know where else to go, so he returned to the graveyard. But now there were figures standing around the open casket. He crept closer. Their skin was gray, their heads swollen, and eyes were black and wide. One of them turned. It placed a hand on his shoulder. "You finished the mission, Zarfin. Great job, as always." He couldn't move or speak, just frozen in confusion. The figure sighed. "You poor thing. You've been down here too long." She reached up and touched his cheek, slowly peeling, revealing the truth. His skin came away like fabric, and beneath it, he's one of them. If you shoot a bullet to the west at 1,000 miles an hour, it'll look like it's flying away. But that's around the same speed that the Earth is rotating to the east. And since you're standing still, it's actually you who's moving away from the bullet. To someone watching from space, the bullet would actually just be hovering. Now, it wouldn't be long for air resistance to slow it down, and gravity would make it drop, but for a fraction of a second, you technically have a floating bullet. The dog waited at the hospital door as his owner received treatment, and he did this every single week. But one day, the man didn't come back. You see, he had died during his appointment. But the dog didn't understand, so he kept waiting. For 12 long years, he stayed at the hospital doors, expecting his best friend to come out at any moment. Even though other families tried to adopt him, he always went back, until he was tragically hit by a car. If you spun in a circle like a helicopter, you would need to spin over 100 times per second to actually lift off. But at that speed, there would be so much force on your arms that it would pull the blood straight out of them. Your muscles would tear and your joints would dislocate. Plus, the G-force would make you black out before you even left the ground.
Attention.
He scoops the bees into his mouth without squishing them.
Don't try this at home.
But they don't sting him. You see, earlier he had flooded the hive with smoke, and this calms the bees by blocking the alarm signals they send to each other.
Attention, Team Crane.
Sorry.
He scoops the bees into his mouth without squishing them. But
Bye.
they don't